beneath the ice, beneath the pine. I know the rhythm keeps the time, drumming the earth, breath in the stone. This northern land is not alone. From tundra bare to cedar line, from prairie gold to granite spine, where northern lights in silence bend and winter never meets its end.
Canada's smallest province has its share of unusual reports. Lights over farmland, objects seen that don't match anything on record, witnesses describing things in the sky that hold still for too long or move in ways that don't make sense once you try to explain them. Most of them never lead anywhere. No confirmation, no clear explanation, but always the same detail at the end. Something was seen. These are the UFOs over PEI. You're close enough to the coast that the wind still carries salt with it. Not the sharp scent of the ocean, but something softer, lingering in the warm evening air. The road cuts quietly through rural Prince Edward Island. Your bike hums beneath you as you pedal along, steady and unhurried. The sun hasn't set yet. It's hanging low, casting everything in its warm copper light. The fields on either side glow softly beneath it. And far off, beyond the rolling land, you can still see flashes of the Gulf through openings between the trees. Your breathing settles into rhythm with the ride, chain ticking with every turn of the pedals. Then slowly, the sounds around you begin to fade. The insect noises start to disappear, one by one, until the constant summer chorus becomes strangely distant. The sky near the horizon isn't behaving properly. There's a pale glow drifting over one of the distant fields. Blue-gray against the warm colors of sunset. At first your brain tries to explain it away. Farm equipment, LED grow lights, maybe sunlight catching glass at a strange angle. But it's suspended far too high above the ground for any of those things to make sense. Your bike rolls to a stop, and you press one foot into the gravel. Up ahead, 2 vehicles have already pulled over. Someone stands beside their open car door, staring out toward the same thing you are. Nobody says a word. Then it moves. Not quickly, but as though it's being pulled across the sky by an invisible current. Silent, effortless. A ripple of unease passes through everyone watching. You can feel it even from where you stand. This thing is getting bigger. At first you don't understand why, then your stomach drops as you realize it's coming closer. The glow brightens until its edges begin to take shape. No wings, no visible means of propulsion, just a smooth, luminous mass suspended against the darkening sky. The copper light of sunset reflects faintly across its surface, revealing curves that seem to shift whenever you try to focus on them. Your pulse pounds in your ears. The object is crossing the landscape. For a moment, every shadow around you seems sharper. Then it reaches the road. You instinctively duck as it passes overhead. No engine noise, no hum, nothing. It continues eastward toward the Gulf. Without thinking, you climb back onto your bike and begin pedaling after it. And so do the others. Headlights cut through the growing dusk as people follow the strange light moving toward the coastline. Nobody knows why they're chasing it. Maybe curiosity, maybe disbelief, maybe the simple need to know where it's going. The the Gulf appears ahead at last, stretching dark and endless beneath the fading sky. The object reaches the shoreline and slows. For a brief moment, it hovers above the water. The glow reflects across the surface. Gentle waves roll toward the beach. The object begins to lower, further and further until it touches the water. You expect a splash. You expect steam. You expect something. Instead, the surface barely reacts. The object slips beneath the Gulf's waters. The blue-gray light remains visible for several seconds below the waves, descending deeper and deeper into the dark water, eventually shrinking into the depths until it becomes little more than a distant spark, then vanishes completely. The insects begin singing again. The wind returns. Around you, people stand silently along the shoreline. No one speaks. No one moves. Because contradictory to what you've just witnessed, there's no trace that anything was ever there at all. Reports of strange lights and unidentified objects over Prince Edward Island stretch back decades. There's actually archived Canadian government records that contain UFO reports from Charlottetown, specifically from the 1970s. And sightings continue to be reported across the island today. Witnesses have described glowing orbs, bright fireballs, silent discs, diamond-shaped lights, and objects moving in ways that seemed impossible for a typical aircraft. What's interesting is that, while the appearances often differ, the behavior described is surprisingly consistent. Objects hover silently. They change direction abruptly. They appear where no aircraft should be. Some even remain stationary for long periods before accelerating away. Others seem to materialize without warning and vanish just as quickly. And perhaps most notably, many of these reports share the same setting: the waters of the Maritimes. Again and again, witnesses describe strange lights over the Gulf of St. Lawrence or the Northumberland Strait. In a number of reports, witnesses claim the objects seem to descend toward the water itself. Of course, there's explanations. Astronomers point to bright planets and atmospheric effects. Aviation experts suggest distant aircraft viewed under unusual conditions. Satellites, meteors, drones, and optical illusions have all been offered as answers for various sightings over the years. Now, in many cases, those explanations can be correct. But not every report fits neatly into these known categories. That's the uncomfortable space where the UFO tales continue to live. Most witnesses aren't even claiming they've encountered extraterrestrials. They're just describing a moment when something they thought they understood suddenly stopped making sense. A light moved the wrong way. An object appeared where it shouldn't have been. Something familiar became unfamiliar. And that feeling tends to linger long after the sighting itself has ended. Prince Edward Island is uniquely suited for this kind of mystery. Surrounded by water, exposed to rapidly changing weather, and often wrapped in coastal fog, the island creates conditions where distance becomes difficult to judge, and lights can behave in unexpected ways. A fishing vessel beyond the horizon may appear suspended above the sea. Atmospheric distortions can make ordinary objects seem extraordinary. LED grow lights with their purple haze can seem otherworldly if you don't know what they are. Yet even people who understand these conditions sometimes find themselves questioning what they've seen. Many of the reports come from individuals who spend significant time outdoors. Fishers, sailors, campers, lifelong islanders who are familiar with the coastline and accustomed to navigating the Gulf after dark. When those people describe seeing something unusual, it doesn't automatically mean the explanation is wild, but it does make the story a lot harder to dismiss. One of the most famous encounters happened during the summer of 2014. A man named John Shepard was camping at Twin Shores near Kensington. It was around 11:30 p.m. The bonfire had nearly burned out, and most people had already turned in for the evening. His wife had gone to bed, and he was preparing to do the same, when he noticed something unusual over the Gulf of St. Lawrence. At first it appeared to be a distant light, but the longer he watched, the stranger it became. The object wasn't following a straight path like an aircraft. It wasn't drifting steadily across the sky like a satellite. Instead, it appeared to move unpredictably, changing brightness and position as it hovered over the water. Concerned that he might be witnessing something unusual, Shepard pulled out his phone and began recording. For several minutes, he captured footage of the object as it continued moving over the Gulf. What stood out to him wasn't simply the movement. It was the feeling that accompanied it. Later, he admitted that as the encounter continued, he became increasingly uneasy. His adrenaline began to rise. He found himself moving closer to nearby cover. Not because the object had acted aggressively in any way, but because he suddenly felt exposed. He didn't want it getting closer, and perhaps more importantly, he didn't want it noticing him. It's a reaction many people can relate to. Looking at something mysterious is one thing. Realizing that it might be capable of looking back is something else entirely. The footage eventually attracted attention from UFO investigators, skeptics, and astronomers. Various explanations were proposed, ranging from aircraft to celestial objects and atmospheric effects. Years later, there's still no universal agreement about what was captured that night. But regardless of the explanation, one fact remains unchanged. A witness observed something over the Gulf that convinced him he was seeing something never encountered before. And Shepard's experience is far from the only story connected to Prince Edward Island's waters. Long before modern UFO investigations existed, sailors and fishers throughout Atlantic Canada reported unexplained lights appearing offshore. Some described glowing objects moving across the surface of the sea. Others spoke of distant lights hovering where no vessel should have been. These stories appeared in local conversations generations before drones, satellites, or commercial air travel became part of everyday life. Many were likely the result of natural phenomena. Some may have been misidentified vessels. Others remain mysteries, simply because no one was ever able to investigate them further. That's one of the challenges with sightings over open water. Evidence tends to disappear quickly. A strange object over a city would likely be observed by hundreds of people. A strange light over the Gulf might be seen by only a handful of witnesses before fading into darkness. By the time questions are asked, the moment's already passed, and the Gulf is exceptionally good at swallowing moments. Stretching across thousands of square kilometers, it contains shipwrecks, powerful currents, underwater valleys, and vast areas that few people ever experience firsthand. Much of what exists beneath its surface remains unseen by the average observer. Perhaps that's why the reports continue in this location. The mystery isn't just the object in the sky, it's the setting. The sighting takes place over waters that already feel unknowable. And somewhere tonight, along a quiet stretch of Prince Edward Island coastline, someone may be looking out over the Gulf and asking the same question islanders have been asking for decades. What exactly did I just see? Next Monday, we're heading to Alberta for a special episode filled with our classic true or false questions, fun interviews, and a few debates that may or may not get surprisingly competitive. As you guys know, every fourth episode we chat about a province or territory, and it's a very different vibe from our usual episodes. But that's exactly what makes it fun. So we'll see you there. This has been What Lurks North. Stay safe out there.
Beneath the ice.